Hello and welcome back to Generic Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Josh the Goose, and this is John, Golden Girls fan 982.
982.
981 was taken already. I don't know. I'm just coming up with random numbers in my head. All right. So unfortunately, we were just kind of busy, crazy.
I mean, if you call Visions of Mana busy, sure. I mean,
Well, that and I was I've been working on my health and I've been trying to get out there a little bit more, so I've been focusing on that. But that's a long story. I've been getting better. And so we're just gonna jump in with a week 2 podcast of what happened around the NFL.
Week 1 summed up. The Dolphins won. Yay! That's the important thing.
Some surprising ones, like
and the Saints are good.
Saints looked good. The Steelers won with a bunch of field goals, which surprisingly isn't the only time that's going to happen this season.
They'd have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Right. Well, especially back weeks. But yeah, like I guess I mentioned health. And we might as well get off to the game that concerns the health.
I want to stay on week 1, but yes, week two, Thursday night football, or the evil Thursday night football.
Well, I guess for you, do you want to start with the bad or the worst first?
Ooh. Well, I guess we lost the Bills.
That was just the bad.
Yes, 31-10. But I mean, they had us figured out. I don't know if it was just they know how to play us, that they grabbed Mike White, who was in our quarterback room the entirety last year,
and during the training camp.
And during the training camp. So if he knew part of the playbook or a lot of it, like he seems like Mike White seems like a smart guy that he might be a head coach down the line.
Right. He was probably like doing like scout team offense, like showing how how they run, like literally what they would be doing. So
right,
he definitely gave an advantage there.
Yeah, and I mean, since Joe Brady's taken over, they're back in the top spot, like for Buffalo. Joe Brady, please go become a head coach somewhere else. Don't need you here anymore. I know Buffalo fans won't like that, but you're better.
And New York Jets have a new head coach. At least it's not Buffalo. Technically, not even in the state of New York anymore.
But anyways, getting back on track. Yeah, we kind of sucked, and there was a lot of injuries. The biggest one was the concussion on Tua.
Let's hold the phone on the concussion and stuff, because I as much as you want to say, I want to say you sucked in some ways, but they also played really good defense and had a really good run game.
We sucked because you can't say they have a really good run game when we sucked so much. There was basically no run defense. They had a really good run game because our run defense sucked.
I mean, they might also just have a really good run game too, but they
might, but our run defense was Swiss cheese.
Well, there was a lot of. I was gonna say there was a lot of problems. I mean, the 3 turnovers did hurt, and one of them being a pick 6.
Yeah, trying to throw the ball away and it ends up pick 6 is the last thing you want.
That was probably the worst of them all. The first interception wasn't Tua's fault.
Yeah, that was a deflected deception.
Right. That was they counted as an interception. That was a wide receiver.
Those need like an entire other stat line, like a deflection, a caught deflection. Like
it could just be a deflection. Like that really is what deflection, interception, or something. I don't know, but that was definitely not onto it. And
the problem is that we were throwing to receivers not named Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Tyreek Hill or Jonnu Smith.
Well, no, you were throwing it to Jonnu Smith, and he was your best receiver. So that's part of the problem.
I meant the interception was because I mean, yes, we threw it to Jonnu Smith, and Jalen and Tyreek had a little bit, but the interceptions came when it wasn't to one of the primary targets.
Well, the primary targets were covered well, and there was no answer for that except for Achane.
Yeah, Devon Achane, definitely coming along this year.
He's he definitely feels like he took over the number one spot for sure now for that the run in the running back room.
I really definitely feel like it was really because now granted it won't be able to tell because we don't play in Miami against Buffalo. But I feel like it was because it was Thursday night football. We didn't have as much time to prepare against a very strong team.
Well, there was also I mean they did beat you earlier technically in this year in Miami in the calendar year, and
yes, but yeah.
So it's just one of those ones where it's like they always like to say and I've heard it a few times. It's the bigger brother beating up on the little brother type thing, and that's really just they didn't have an answer for that one.
I feel like the NFL is trying to put the Dolphins through a harder type of schedule because they're getting rid of the advantage of Miami in the heat.
Kinda. I mean, there's only so many games that they, but they're also doing you a favor of not playing the in the coldest months either.
We're still playing games in December in cold places.
Well, yeah, but you're also not playing there in Buffalo. You're playing cold games anywhere.
But we're playing Green Bay and Cleveland.
I mean, I think it gets colder in Buffalo than maybe in Green Bay too, but Cleveland might be all right. I mean, either way, it's like you're gonna have to play them anyways, and you also got to play New York at some,
Okay, well, to be fair, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Patriots, the Cowboys, the Commanders, and the Eagles all have the competitive disadvantage that we have to play in MetLife once a year. Because they need a fixed MetLife field, but
that's the thing. Some of it's a competitive advantage, some of it's you just got to get used to it, and
Hey, I'm the one complaining. I'm a Dolphins fan complaining. The team I don't think has an issue with it. I know certain teams and actual players had problems with Miami Heat.
Well, and I don't think it happens every year because you want to know, it's not like you can't say, well, we're going to Denver. Like that mile high air sucks. Well,
I mean, Ryan Clark couldn't play there, but
he had a disease that almost got him killed because of the mile high air.
But
that being said, you have other teams that you're going to be facing in the Miami Heat.
Well, I know that, but we didn't get prime Miami Heat because we have the Thursday night game, we have the Monday night game week 4, and the first game of the year was against another Florida team.
Right. So just remember this, Miami Dolphins fans. You can either be irrelevant and play your Miami afternoon hot games, or be in prime time and
So we need to start winning in prime time and not having catastrophic injuries in prime time. Then I will care about being in prime time. I know we're doing good. That's why we're in prime time. But
you've won some primetime games before too. You won that Thursday night one, I swear, against the Ravens a few years ago with Tua.
Right? I think that was Brian Flores.
It was, but I mean, it's still a Miami Dolphins primetime win. So unless you're being specific of you need a Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa primetime win game.
I think we had one of those. I forget. But yes, I understand. I care if Miami wins these tough games. I just would like our advantage. I would like an advantage. I would like to not suffer.
Advantages, they're nice, but you can still overcome advantages.
Yes, I know. It just feels like the NFL has been against the Miami Dolphins the last few years. Judging by we're the only team that that so-called committed tampering and had draft picks taken away.
No, you're not the only one.
I don't think anyone had a number 1 draft pick taken away.
Okay, that's a different story.
Specifically calling, like, we had the had the first concussion 2 years ago, and then bam, like, they take out Teddy Bridgewater, like, after like a seemingly light hit or whatever, like one that did not look like it. No one else has had like had concussions like watched over, like, that might look like a concussion and get taken out like the Dolphins players did. And yes, it might just all be conspiracy and might just be coincidence, but it seems like they've been against us, and that's just really what I'm complaining against. I'll take, you know what, if we fight through every hardship and win, that's great. You know what, better for us than like people can't say shit.
I mean, Kenny Pickett went through 2 concussions. Same year. It was just, somebody didn't look like they were dying on the field. So maybe they're trying to be a little extra careful. And
I mean, concussions are a problem, or what, and are a problem for Kenny Pickett too. But he's a backup quarterback, so he's fine. He's not in danger right now. But then there are people that have said that, like, I think Brett Favre said he's had 1,000 concussions in his career, and I'm like, that is not true at all.
No, it isn't.
Because I think he'd be dead.
Well, I don't know, but it's also a different era.
Yeah.
And like, to really get into the Tua conversation, like, if Teddy Bridgewater had one, it's like, that's why they have an independent, neurologist, because they aren't supposed to play favorites, and I don't think they do. I think you're just being a little too conspiracy theorist here. Even more wild than our Super Bowl stuff that we've talked about and script writing stuff. I think that they did the right. I think I don't know how long Tua's going to be out. That's the worst thing is it was not a hard hit.
I mean, he was going pretty fast, so.
Well, yeah, but then still, that's one of those things where maybe his body's not equipped to handle that, and it sucks. I know he says he's not planning to retire unless he's forced to retire because of unless the doctor said, like, this isn't good for your health. And I'm not gonna lie, I know you won't like this. I kind of hope that they do, because I don't want to see him. I don't want
to see anything bad happen to Tua, because he is a good person. I don't know how anyone hates him as a person.
I don't know either. Like, I can understand if you don't like his play.
Like, yeah, as a player, but there are people that genuinely hate him, and he's like one of the nicest people on the planet. So it does not make sense to me.
It's weird. And like, honest to goodness, like, I get some people who don't like players in the NFL. Like that maybe they rub you the wrong way or something like that, or you just, like, you think they're a little too smug or something like that. Like, that's part of why we don't like Tom Brady. As a person who like I hate Patrick Mahomes as a Kansas City Chief. I hate, but I don't hate,
Patrick Mahomes as a person. I don't hate Josh Allen as a person. I hate the Josh Allen that kicks our butts.
Right. Exactly. Now, there's some players that maybe I don't like their play, so I don't, and that's just all I see. But
I don't like Sauce Gardner because he keeps getting away with defensive pass interference play.
That I can understand, and it's like,
the only time I don't like you as a person is when you do something like wrong and somehow you're still playing.
Right. I mean, I don't necessarily care for Travis Kelce because, I mean, you've kind of ruined the Beastie Boys. Like, I don't care for that. It's like, I don't need to hear that song anymore. You've kind of ruined that song. I mean, I'm happy that Taylor Swift is happy because I am a Swiftie. I love her and I love her music. And if she's happy, then I'm happy for her.
Right.
But I don't necessarily like you as maybe a football person. I don't really know Travis Kelce as a
person.
Yeah. So, it's like, I don't like him as a player, or maybe it's more of a, just like and the whole yelling at Andy Reid thing kind of was a very bad disservice to,
Andy Reid, yeah. Someone who deserves more respect for how well he coaches.
Right. So, I don't really know how much I care. Like, I don't hate Travis Kelce. I just don't think I really care for him. Otherwise, I like, Jason Kelce, I like.
Yeah.
But there's just, but those are just some, there's a lot of players, and, it's like just some examples. I know we were going to try and keep it short and sweet. This was an important topic, but just honestly hoping for the best for Tua, and because I don't want to see long-term effects happen to him in the later in life, because him living, being, I believe it was like what Mike McDaniel said, like you're like what, the quarterback of your family or something.
Yeah, he is a person first, but it is his choice. He will do what's best, what he believes is best for him. And
well, right now it's his choice. We should say. I know
Mhm.
he's going to neurologist this week, and we'll see what the doctors say. And I think that's exactly how it should be. And if he wants to play, so be it. But if he has another concussion again this season, I do not know. Like maybe it's another time to reconsider after that. And then because like, let's be honest, he'd be great if he's got a great mind. He'd be great. Like, I think Mike McDaniel would hire him. He could become the QB coach, like that. He'd be great.
Maybe assistant QB coach. I think I don't think we'd get rid of the QB coach or something, but
right. Well,
they would create a role for him in the organization.
Yeah. Well, and you never know when they move up and stuff. Like, he'd probably want to stay. And then you'd have, and who knows, like, he could learn. Maybe he becomes like the head coach for, like, in Hawaii for for their football team. He could get a job anywhere. Like, he could also do like announcing. He could be a part of one of the, like, ESPN, Fox Sports, anything. And then there's also the option of I said, and I don't know, like, I think he'd be perfect in flag football, because you're just not taking those kinds of hits at all. So, like, everybody's like talking about like the Olympics in 2028 and needing a quarterback. Well, if Tua's retired from the NFL, you keep that arm strong, you keep in shape. Tua Tagovailoa, Olympic gold medalist. I mean,
I could see Tua and Tyreek both, because I don't know if Tyreek will be retired by then or not. I don't know how far along Tyreek said he was going, but they could be I know Tyreek said he wants to be in the Olympics for that, so the two of them could be there either way,
right? And I mean, especially like if Tua's has to retire or decides to retire, Tyreek has he's made his money. He doesn't want to do another contract. He like, he'll still be able to play, and I think he'll still be great. I know he'd probably have to learn the game a little bit, like but he's still gonna have speed in his 30s. So like, that could be a perfect combination for
I mean, look, on the upside, on the ultimate positive things, is that I hope that he comes back and never has another concussion in his NFL career.
I hope so too. I would not hold my breath on that, but I absolutely hope he doesn't.
If he slides better and doesn't do and tries not to take hits, because there are plenty of quarterbacks that do not get concussions.
Well, and that's the thing. It's maybe it's how his body, he lost some of that weight so he could run, and maybe it's a smaller frame. It's just that kind of stuff. So
it might have just been a weird reaction of his helmet hitting into DeMar Hamlin's chest arm, into the pads, and it just made his neck bend the wrong way. So, or head go into the wrong way, and hopefully if he does come back, like, he wears the Guardian cap.
I would like to see him wear the Guardian cap. I don't know how that would be with a quarterback.
He did practice. I think he practices with it, or at least he has practiced with it. So,
and like, I'm going to give a lot of respect to the Bills, because there are a couple things, if you really look at that. Nobody really wanted to hit him. He actually kind of like ran into DeMar Hamlin, and like Von Miller looked like he came back to form. He let up. He didn't want to. I don't think he wanted to be as aggressive as he could be, like taking Tua down, because I think he could have gotten to him. But like, you can kind of see that with how Buffalo played. Like, they were like, I know that they're like, it's like they're rivals, but there's a lot of, I think there is some respect for your rival there. That it's like, yeah, they're our rival. We don't like each other, but like, we know he's a player that's I think maybe it's because of the DeMar Hamlin, what he went through, but I don't think anybody would agree with this if they were listening to this, if they were on the Bills. I don't know or even if Von Miller would say anything about this, but that's just the way I saw it. I mean, I think that they really didn't want to hurt him.
Yeah, I feel the Bills were like, the Bills fans were really good. The Bills were good about it. I think it was like Amazon itself, or like Thursday Night Team or whatever, having that concussion video package. that was kind of messed up.
Kinda?
Like,
no, it was messed
I
up.
mean, yeah, it's not kind of messed up. It was messed up, and it needs to be called out. Like, why the fuck did you have that ready?
That should not have been a.
You should not have that ready. Like, you felt like something was going to happen, and that seems problematic, and that seems very problematic.
I mean, it's like, it's like injury, it's like, are you like, do you have a, like, I guess I'd have to ask this, like, do you have a Lamar, like, leg injury, like, where he gets hurt? Like, is there
do you
a
have
whole video
video
package for this kind of stuff? Like,
Yeah, do you have injury video packages of players who have had injuries? Is like another injury of the same injury. Do you have video packages ready? Because that seems very dark, very like not right. Like,
right. Serious question. I don't think Amazon will hear this, and you know what? If somebody on Amazon, if somebody hears this and wants to call out Amazon that has a bigger following, I would absolutely love for more people to call Amazon out on this, because I have to know. Tua ran into DeMar Hamlin. Did you have any DeMar Hamlin package? Were you going to show DeMar Hamlin on the Cincinnati,
right? If they
Cincinnati
took each
on
other
Monday
out,
Night Football, if there was something that happened to DeMar Hamlin on the field, was Amazon going to show that? Like I really want to know if they had that. They probably didn't. And if you didn't have that, you shouldn't have had something for Tua.
Right? Because it could have gone, because there is like a parallel universe where it happened, and like, things could have gone wrong for both of them.
Yeah, there is probably a parallel universe that it went
like DeMar
bad for worse, as bad as you can think for both of them.
Like DeMar is risking the same thing, continuing to play football with it. I know it's probably very rare to go into that again, but he's still all football players risk their health playing this.
Well, there's been football players, even a Buffalo Bill. I know there was one that I think there was a Buffalo Bill that before our time, I think, died on the field.
Yeah, there was a player who died on the field.
And then I know that there was one, I think it was during a Broncos preseason game with the Bills. I think that I don't know the name of the player, but I'm pretty sure he was, if it wasn't preseason, it was an early game, like paralyzed from
I remember something like that.
And like DeMar is very lucky, very fortunate. But if the doctor said like, no, this is like a medical condition, and it's not gonna get better, he'd retire. It's like Bronny James would not have made the NBA. If there were like he would have stopped if there was like, I really want to say he would have stopped if there was a legit concern for his overall health and life. If playing basketball would have like if it had a chance at actually killing him, like for another event happening. Like now I think I don't want to say he's completely healthy, but I think he knows the situation, and he's getting he's in the right, I don't want to say protocols, but he's in the right he's got the right means to go about playing basketball. And same thing with DeMar, like he's on things that he's got the right people in place, got the doctors checking on him and all that.
So the player who I looked it up, Chuck Hughes, he died in the 70s during a Lions Bears game.
Oh, he was a Bears player?
No, he was a Lions player. Okay. He was injured in the preseason, but in the Bills game.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then he died, and then that caused him to have issues later, and then died on the field. He was an injury replacement player and died on the field.
Gotcha. Okay. See, I knew there was some tie to the Bills. That's why I questioned it if he was a Bears player, because
he collapsed near Dick Buckus. He collapsed near Dick Buckus.
See, I'm glad I don't think that's happened since. I'm glad that we have better protocols now and emergency services at the game.
His arteries his arteries are blocked, and they didn't realize that. So.
And medicine's so
medicine's better now, and food's better
now. 50 years ago.
Yeah. So,
but I know it's like before our time, but rest in peace. And I'm happy people that hasn't been an experience since. But it's just like even though it wasn't a Bills player, it's like it's still connected with the Bills, like all something exactly. Bills it's like, you gotta be careful. It's like, it's like, I
Yeah,
don't
they
want to
couldn't.
say a curse, but
Yeah.
it's just that unluckiness.
Yeah, they just couldn't find out what was wrong with him during the
And
time.
unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah, so it's just it's about player safety in the NFL, and we just want the players to be healthy and
that's
happy.
that's ultimately what I want for Tua.
Mhm.
I want him to be happy, and if that means playing, awesome. If he knows the risk and he's still willing to take them, and the doctors especially the doctors say, like you're clear, your body,
If he gets
but if he says like if they say like it's a risk and you should retire, like or if they say no, like this is too big of a risk for you to continue because you've had so many concussions, like it's gonna be sad, but like it's gonna be hard it might be hard for him to accept, but I just want what's right for him in the long term for his health.
Yeah, I hope he'll be okay and that he's not forced to retire. That is totally up to how his head is from how what the doctor signed.
Yeah, I do hope that he talks to Andrew Luck.
Mhm.
I hope Andrew Luck has reached out to him.
Mhm.
I know he doesn't need to, but I hope he does, or one or two reaches out. Like any connection would be great for
Right.
something like that.
I mean, like I would just hate for like this to stop Tua's dreams. Like I know, I want the best for his health, but it's like I know Tua wants this, and I know like everyone wants this, and it's like I know Tua believes he can win, and Tua's just like built differently, and for that, and it just sucks that I just don't want to see it taken away from him, but I also don't want to see him hurt. So it's like like Tua the player and Tua the person, it's like the Tua the person's going to win out over Tua the player.
Yeah. Well, with all that said,
but going forward, I think the Dolphins will be. I hope with everything will be fine. Why he rests, because I don't think he's going to come back. Even if the doctors say he can go, he's not going to be back like next week.
He'll be back by the bye week if everything, like after the bye week.
Everyone a lot of people say give him the time to rest and he'll come back after the bye week.
Yeah,
that's fine. I think we can. I think Skylar Thompson, or if we need to get a backup like Ryan Tannehill or anyone, I think can handle it till then.
Yeah. That being said, we're hoping for the best for you too. Hope you rest well and feel better soon.
Yes, get better to it.
All right. Now that we spent I don't know how long on one game, we will discuss.
Well, we got a little reel there.
Well, but sports is real. Sometimes it's more than just a game.
And I did want to make sure to call out Amazon because that wasn't right.
No, it wasn't. So you know what? Let's go on to I guess a more interesting, not saying more interesting, but just Jaden Daniels got his first win this week.
Mm-hmm.
We love Jaden Daniels here. No touchdowns for him yet. So surprisingly, of the two. None of the three rookie quarterbacks have started yet. Well, we'll get into that later. But there's something only one of them has done so far. All of them, I think, have thrown interceptions. I think Jaden Daniels thrown interceptions, right?
I can check that line.
Sure, let me know. But like we said, just like the Steelers did last week, the Commanders won with 7 field goals.
Yeah, the Commanders. Yeah, it was 21 points. So.
Yeah, they won with 7 field goals over the Giants, who had like I think 3 touchdowns or something like that. And
I don't know the exact one because I know they missed because their kicker got injured. So
that's why I think they had 3 touchdowns, because it was 21-18, and if their kicker got hurt, they tried for 2. They missed the 2s all the time.
I mean, with how the Broncos game went, the Broncos Seahawks game went in week 1, anything could have been possible with scoring.
True, but I think that I don't know, maybe they had a couple field goals early, but either way, it was 21-18. Daniel Jones didn't completely suck. Jaden Daniels,
he didn't get intercepted,
right? And he had a good connection with Malik Neighbors. Like they felt like it was a positive game, even though they lost. And maybe that if they do this game again down the road in New York, like I could see New York, the Giants beating the Commanders in New York. But that was a positive, good game. But like man, I don't know how the Chargers got rid of Austin Eckler. Like he was great in there. So I definitely want to watch a little more Commanders football. And I just hope that Jaden Daniels, doesn't get hurt. I know he got a little banged up.
Oh yeah, it was 3 touchdowns with no extra points.
Did Jaden Daniels throw any interceptions this week or last week? But
no interceptions, but got sacked 5 times this week.
Ooh, any interceptions last week? Yeah. But anyways, I Well, bright side is we get to watch. We can like kind of fully watch Commanders football next week because they're playing on Monday night. I know it's a doubleheader, but I'm definitely interested in Commanders versus Bengals.
Right.
Especially to see Jaden Daniels because personally I think he's gonna be the rookie of the year. It's gonna be a tough one.
I don't know after this week if Marvin Harrison Jr. does more like that, then
he's gonna he'll win. If the quarterback, I should say the best odds for the quarterback position is Jaden Daniels. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could win it, excluding his week 1, but his week 2 more than made up for it. But so Commanders, Giants, 21-18.
Jaden Daniels has not thrown an interception or a touchdown this year.
Right? Any fumbles? I don't know if he's had any turnovers, but
he had 3 fumbles but did not lose any of them.
Well, that's good because Caleb Williams and Bo Nix have thrown some interceptions, and I think Caleb had some fumbles, but either way they both had some turnovers. Right now, I was gonna say like without getting into the Denver game, I guess I could go into their next, but or something. But Bo Nix, he's the only one that has a touchdown. None of them have passing touchdowns. He's the only one that has a touchdown in any variety when he ran one in last week.
Right.
Even though he's the only one that hasn't won, but that just shows more of it's a team sport, guys. Team sport.
Always has been.
Yep. So let's go. Not to talk much on it, but Chargers dominated the Panthers. Panthers still feel like the worst team in the league, and
that is why this is why I picked up the Chargers defense and J.K. Dobbins in fantasy, and those helped.
Right? I mean, it was. I think that there were the Panthers had some good plays. They could have done a little bit better, but it was still 26-3 at the end of the game. And I just I don't even know. I don't even feel like it's on like Bryce Young anymore. Like I don't even know what to think on that team anymore. The Chargers.
The problem is that they should have never traded up. They should have never traded away everything to trade up to get Bryce Young. You got Bryce Young, but you traded away all his weapons, so he has nothing. And if you had like Will Levis with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, you might have a better team.
Right, but I mean, DJ Moore was probably the more important thing to not have gotten rid of in the sense of like, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, he was just an extra piece around a team that was already like, looking good. So, but DJ Moore was one of those pieces where you build around him, you have like the good receiver, you got a quarterback, and now it's like, Adam Thielen went there, and he's always been a good wide receiver, but he's there because he's up there. He's a bit older of a wide receiver, but if and helping that room, but they're not doing anything around him to help.
None of the wide receivers did good. No, what was it? Tommy Tremble, top receiver, 23 yards.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying Adam Thielen in like general, like, but yeah.
None of the wide, like I don't know. I don't know. Like they don't show the stats about like offensive linemen, but like they might suck. They might not be doing good. Bryce might not be doing good.
Unfortunately, it's gonna probably end up on Bryce Young. Might be like a Josh Rosen situation. He might be a good backup somewhere. Or it's going to probably be a Mac Jones. He's probably going to get traded for a really low pick after this season, and he'll probably he might end up in Miami as like a backup or something.
Right, he needs to bulk up. He needs I don't know if he needs to bulk up, but he needs help. And I don't know if the Panthers is just the best place to get the best stuff out of people because of how the organization is right now.
It's probably true. And Bryce Young deserves a second shot. Like other quarterbacks have gotten second shots, and some of them have gotten thirds,
and some of them are winning.
And some of them are 2-0 in Tampa Bay and Minnesota that both played in Carolina at the same time. They were teammates, Sam Darnold and Baker
besides Carolina, and Geno Smith, another quarterback who's got another chance, is also 2-0. So they're all 2-0 that have got another chance.
Sometimes organizations are just bad, and I'm hoping that it's like what I said about the stank from the Broncos. Yeah, we're 0-2 right now, but we're still working. We need a run game, but there's a lot of pieces that feel better on this Broncos team, and but the big thing is with without getting into it yet with the Broncos, they're in a rebuild,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like we're really in year one of the rebuild and working our way up. That's the thing. Carolina, they're in a new one. They're in year two of a new year one. They're in a year two of a rebuild, but it's a new rebuild because it's a new coach, so it's a year one, but it's actually a year two. It's
a mess.
It's how the Broncos were in, but with Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. But we thought we were a quarterback away when we were just really, no, we were actually needing to rebuild.
I don't know. You might have actually been able to do it with Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll never know that one. But that being said, the Chargers are 2-0. They're running well. Quentin Johnson
actually looks like a looks like a top receiver.
Is it Johnson or Johnston? Johnston. He looked good, like surprisingly good. So like maybe we'll see where the Chargers go when they actually play the Chiefs, the rest of the AFC West. When they actually who did they play week 1? Oh, the Raiders. I can't actually say the Raiders are a bad team because we'll talk about that later. But let's see how they play against a bit more difficult teams than the Panthers. And
right, I mean they get Pittsburgh next. They get Pittsburgh next week, but we'll
in LA.
No, in Pittsburgh.
Okay, yeah, in Pittsburgh. So that's actually going to be a big test,
right? They're a defensive. It's a defensive team versus a defensive team. Play field goal kickers.
Well, we'll see how good Justin Herbert can, and run,
Right, this is a real test. This is a real test for
it really is, because hey, guess what? We'll just move on to the Broncos right now. The Steelers are 2-0. They're on top of the AFC North.
I don't know how that's happening, but
we'll get into that more. But honestly, it was a 6-13 game. It was defensive. Somewhat defensive. It was really bad penalties all over. Some were there. I don't understand. There was I think a Riley Moss pass interference that was bogus. That didn't make any sense. And then there was a
you're calling Sauce Gardner's penalties on you.
They are, because like PJ Locke, like I don't know what it was called, like unnecessary roughness. It wasn't helmet to helmet. PJ Locke could not slow down, and he wasn't defenselessly. He couldn't slow down. Like there was, like we gotta watch out for defensive players too on these, because he did everything you want to do to play correctly. But I don't blame the Steelers. Like, our friend Zach, Steelers fan, like good for you. Like it was good to watch Bo. I felt like he learned a lot in week 1. He messed up and threw a bad red zone interception in the end zone. I think that we would have had a tie game if, going into that game, if we got that score, and it could have gone into overtime. It could have been a completely different game. But alas, like the defense played good. PS2, that was probably the worst game I've ever seen him play. I know I've seen some winners and losers in the, from the Mile High report, and I thought he was a loser this week. I love you, PS2, but it was just not your game. But the biggest thing is we need some running backs. We need maybe a little bit. The O-line needs to get a little bit better, but we need some running backs that can just run, make some yardage. I love Javonte Williams. You were great, but I think you haven't really came back from the injury when you tore your ACL. And I think we need to give Beatty, Watson, and McLaughlin some shots at like trying to get some of the runs in.
Right, I can see that. Beatty looked good today. So
yeah, he's always looked good. He knows how to make some cuts and stuff. So I hope he gets a chance. We need some tight ends, because I'm sorry, Greg Dulcich, those were right in your chest, in your hands. Like those should have been caught. You're not. Nobody's helping Bo Nix except for like Josh Reynolds. And it sucks that Vele was injured, because I think he was like his second favorite target.
Yeah, that does not help.
I need to see where Troy Franklin is, because like we drafted you because we were like, oh, here's some extra help, because you know how Bo plays. Probably drafting. I imagine we're going to draft Bo's adopted brother. I would love that, because it's just a great story. It's a sad but great story because of what happened. But that being said, Steelers, like I know they tried to really play up TJ Watt. He got like a shoestring sack. That was it. Like you guys just played a really good. You played some good defense. And Justin Fields, with the exception of the center, for some reason likes to snap that ball early on Justin Fields, because I feel like it happened in the preseason too. But Justin Fields should be your quarterback, because he's showing you he can get away and scramble. Russell Wilson can't do that anymore.
Russ would have been sacked so many times.
Jonathan Cooper would have gotten to Russ on a lot of those plays. There was one where Justin Fields got away. Jonathan Cooper would have had a sack on Russell Wilson. That being said, it was a good game. It was a good game for the Steelers. It was a close game. I like how I'm hoping we come together. And yes, we started 0-2. I hope we can get a couple wins here versus the Buccaneers, the Jets, and I don't know who else we play after week. I think we play. I don't know who we play in week 5, but I just know this was a tough defensive outing for the first month of the Broncos season. So the fact that Bo's coming along, I mean, who wants to play? Who wants to play the Seahawks in Seattle, and then the Steelers, and then we got to go, and then we're going to Tampa Bay, and then I think the Jets. I think we're going to New York because I think we played 3 pro games. Who wants to go? Who like this is a rough schedule, and I know I said, and yes, I know I predicted the Broncos. I might have been a little overzealous with my predictions. Pretty much believing in the Texans more. They might just win. I think I might get rid of. I don't know about that Jaguars pick anymore.
Right. The AFC South needs to step it up, or right. Just throw out. They're just throwing in the Texans because that Colts one that I thought the Colts were much higher in my predictions than they are in real life.
Right. The Bills. My bad if I said about the Bills as far as that. Like we thought they got rid of big names, and they did, but they were maybe older big names, and they're just putting in new pieces, and that defense is churning, and everybody's turning, and
well, they got a new defense. Like they have a new defense coordinator,
but I think Sean McDermott's calling the plays.
One of the something like that. But no, I think Sean McDermott's not calling the plays.
Oh, okay, that might be.
Yeah, because I think after Leslie Frazier left, Sean McDermott was calling plays, and now they got one.
Oh, okay. But either way, back on the Broncos. I know I went a little off topic. Bo's the only rookie quarterback that has a touchdown right now, as far as he's the only one without a win. But honestly, I don't know if any of the rookie quarterbacks are going to make the playoffs this year, because some of these teams weren't just a quarterback away, and we thought the Bears might have been. They still might be.
I don't know if that O-line at the end of the.
We'll talk about that later.
But like Caleb looked like he was in trouble. Jaden, they have a shot, depending on how it goes. But yeah, like I don't know if any of them. They might squeak into them.
Right. Speaking about squeaking, let's move on to the next game. The Seahawks won in overtime against the Patriots. Patriots are 1-1. I really thought they were going to go 2-0. Patriots have played great these last 2 weeks, surprisingly great.
Yeah, everyone said their O-line sucked, and their O-line is magically holding up somehow.
Mm-hmm. Good on you, Jacoby Brissett. Jalen Polk is looking good. I swear they had somebody else that I think was just kind of making a comeback. Curtis Samuel's on the Bills. I'm thinking someone else, but that was just a good mashup. Like, it was a good game. A surprisingly good game from the parts that we saw. Seahawks are 2-0 on top of the NFC West. We definitely didn't have that. Mm-hmm. Speaking of anything else to add? I know we're trying to do a few of these games a little quicker than.
Yeah, I'm just happy the Seahawks won. Like,
I know.
Like, now if the Bills could lose, that would be great,
right? Someone in your division is going 2-1 next week, or on Thursday. That being said, Vikings
1-1. Huh? 1-1.
Right.
We'll watch that happen on Amazon
Thursday night, right? So talking about surprise 2-0 teams, the Vikings won 23-17 over the 49ers.
I think the Vikings, like they were saying, Brian Flores just knows how to put pressure on Kyle Shanahan and knows how to make him uncomfortable.
Right. It definitely showed. Like, it sucks that Justin Jefferson went down. Sam Darnold looked like he was playing great. It was a close 1-score game, but the Vikings really felt like they had a lot of pressure, and it wasn't a 1-score game until the very end.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'd say nobody felt like right with the 49ers. So we'll see what happens.
Is the lack of Christian McCaffrey making this much of a difference? I mean, I know Jordan Mason made 100 yards, but I feel like they might be missing how much dynamic plays that Christian McCaffrey can make. But Vikings might just be good.
They might be. I mean, Sam Darnold might have learned a lot and stuff he never got in New York or Carolina. And got plenty of with Kyle Shanahan.
Right.
Plus,
I mean,
Kyle Shanahan, he probably, he same thing with Sam White, like
Mike White.
Mike White, yeah.
I don't know who Sam White is.
I don't know either. Said his name. Well, Sam Darnold.
Right, there we go.
Yep. No, I'm interested to see where they go. So they're I don't know who the Vikings play next week, but I know one team I'm interested in seeing next week, and because of how good they did this week, and that is the New Orleans Saints, who are surprisingly 2-0.
That offensive coordinator has done magic to them. Like I'm not like
Right.
I am astounded by these guys.
Well, I know you called it in our predictions podcast. I just forget if you mentioned about Clint Kubiak.
I didn't mention it was like Clint Kubiak, like mention him by name, but I knew like
right. I didn't know if you mentioned just the coaching change. And
yeah, I mentioned there was an offensive coordinator change, and he definitely he's like reinvigorated this offense, this defense, man. Like it was, I mean, were they real because it was just against Carolina? You couldn't tell, but against Dallas, like dang,
especially against like Micah Parsons and
when Dallas showed they were Dallas showed they were very good, like week 1 against the Cleveland Browns, like defensively, like I thought this was going to be like an even matchup. I didn't think they were going to run away. The Saints were going to run away with it.
Like I thought it was going to be a legit game that whoever had the ball last, kind of like the Bengals Chiefs game, was going to win kind of game. But I will say that here are some surprising facts with the Saints. They punted for the first time. They didn't punt any time until like the fourth quarter in this game after like I forget how many successful scoring drives in the two games. Derek Carr before like the game today, like I think at the end of last season was like he was like I think 15-1 touchdown to interception rate or something like that. He won the last like 6 games or something like, or he went 6-1. It was something really surprising at the end of last season, and I'm just like, that makes sense because they had a middle of the road draft pick. I mean, I think it was like 15 overall or something.
Yeah,
like
they did have something like that, and it's like
they were on a pretty good winning streak. So if things came together, and if they still come together, this could be what everybody thought the Atlanta Falcons were.
Right? Like the Saints are really showing who they are, and like if they can keep up this momentum, like I can't wait for Saints Bucks.
Right? I don't know when that is, and I don't know who the Vikings play next week. I know the Saints.
They play the Texans.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. The Vikings.
Yeah.
Oh, and we get Vikings. Or we get Saints Eagles.
Yes.
Next week. Oh, so many good games already. Like just because of how teams are playing right now.
And let's not forget the I just saw it looking at schedule. The Lions Cardinals.
Ooh, that's a lot of good games coming next week. But let's finish up this week.
You want to speed through some of these ones?
The ones that I'm looking at, like Browns, Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is like 0-7. Since his since last season, like he hasn't won any games. It's concerning because I had them in the playoffs. I thought they'd be better. I thought with Brian Thomas Jr. and stuff like they would have picked up.
They're missing something. I don't know what it is.
Right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just Sean Watson was good against the AFC South and that just still rubbed off. But I know the Browns defense is legit.
Like it didn't feel like the Jaguars could do anything like in the second half this week. They couldn't do anything the second half last week against the Dolphins.
Right?
Like, they didn't score at all anymore in the second half. Like
they didn't. I thought they scored one touchdown. They didn't score anything in the fourth quarter this week. I think the Jags.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know how the scoring summary went this week. Last week, week 1, I know they didn't score.
They scored a field goal.
Okay, yeah. I think they scored something this week, but like they're having scoring troubles in the second half. And what is that problem?
Right, and it's not Travis Etienne. He's one of the best running backs in the game right now.
Right. I mean, I know like the momentum shifted week 1 after Javon Holland punched the ball out, but that wasn't on him. Like it was literally a punch out. That was a defensive play. Like there was nothing he could have done unless he had glue on the ball.
Right. Browns, we'll see, because now it's just like, well, is it same old Jaguars?
Right. Like I don't know. They have to. They need to like figure themselves out. I don't like Brian Thomas Jr. is looking like he's becoming a weapon. You have Travis Etienne, so like you just need to use everything better. Are you missing stuff on defense? I mean,
yeah, because like let's be honest. What they paid Trevor, he isn't going going away.
Mm-hmm.
You know who is going away? It's going to cost Doug Peterson his job, and they
Mm-hmm.
will probably hire Ben Johnson or Bobby Slovic, somebody offensive minded that comes from like the
I don't know if
Shanahan or
I don't know how much Bobby Slowick would want to go play his former team, but yeah, like Ben Johnson, yeah.
Mhm.
Like someone who likes Trevor Lawrence and like could try to get more out of him. But yeah, Doug Peterson will be on the hot seat if this losing streak continues.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't deserve, but maybe he'll find a place he can succeed better at.
I mean, we'll see if he'd get another job, but
Right.
another team that another choice, would that be a Bill Belichick job with the Jaguars?
Right? They need if Bill Belichick can hire an offensive coordinator, then
With Josh McDaniels, with Trevor Lawrence, if Josh McDaniels isn't in charge, he gets the best out of an offense.
Man doesn't know how to keep his ego in check when he's a head coach.
Right. So with the Packers, we missed week 1, but Jordan Love got hurt. He's going to be out for like 3 to 6 weeks. It's Malik Willis time. This was really just a defensive game. It felt like awesome. The Packers won 16-10. Anthony Richardson really didn't get going until the end. Jonathan Taylor had a pretty decent game, I think.
I think he got 100 yards.
But it was just like,
yeah, he got 103 yards, but like he was what kept getting them in there, but they just had troubles.
Yeah, and I mean, he would have thought like with how Anthony Richardson played like so well and kept him in the games like last week would have been better. I mean, even though he went 9 for 19, I don't know what his stat line was this week, but
Anthony Richardson,
yeah,
17 for 34
and
3 interceptions.
Yeah, see, that was a problem. So like that Packers defense really came to play.
Well, yeah, I'm glad they showed up this week. I think the field in Brazil messed them up.
Well, yeah, I know we didn't do a podcast on that, but I think that that for week 1 game really skewed a few things with both teams, and we'll see how. We'll talk about the Eagles later. That being said, Jets and Titans. The Jets won 24-17. Mailman
is definitely feeling
right. He's doing a lot of screaming himself, but like he did another pass, like he messed up week 1 and really cost them the game. Gave away the lead or the tie, and then this week, like I mean, he tried at least, but they were in it like most of that game, and then I forget what he did this week. Like it was another I think it was like a backwards pass or something that basically made the ball go live, and he didn't realize it. And
to be fair, like there was a lot of no calls, like no pass interference calls on Sauce Gardner again. Like literally, I watch it, and like literally, that's like defensive pass interference, and like literally would have helped him probably tie the game.
Yeah,
that game could have ended into a tie without defensive it both was.
Right now we get into the some of the. I don't think there's really anything else to say. I mean, Calvin Ridley had a pretty good game.
Braylon Allen looked good.
He did. Braylon Allen. Ooh, is he available in our fantasy league?
Yes. Or do you mean after I take him? Maybe. I don't know.
We'll see. See who needs more running back help. Anyways, Buccaneers Lions. That was a great game. Aiden Hutchinson, I think, got 4.5 sacks. He was trying for the record, which is 5.5, or the team record, I should say, in a game for the Lions. They just things weren't going their way. Tampa Bay looked like they had their number. Dan Campbell, for a team that like basically lost, they lost by 4. They messed up in the last few seconds of the first half, and the penalty, like what was it called? The runoff. They had the 10-second runoff, which cost them 3 points.
Yeah.
They lost by 4, and they were in field goal range. Yeah, that's why Dan Campbell said the loss was on their head coach.
Yep.
And he's calling himself out, which was right. And they that was definitely a game that they could have won. And so if we see the Lions Buccaneers, like this might be a game in Tampa Bay next time because of this game right here. So we'll see what happens. But Baker today was a Godwin game and stuff like they were playing. He was playing good. Mike Evans didn't have as good of a game as he did week 1, but Godwin made up for it. And
Godwin and Evans is like a top tier wide receiving duo that does not get credit.
They should be a top 5. Like we maybe we'll do our own top 5 wide receiver duos and do that as a episode and see what we've got, because I mean, I guess spoiler alert, they probably should be on both of ours, but but they don't get enough respect, and if we don't have them on there, they still don't get enough respect. So I don't know what our problem would be then.
Hey, we do an entire segment to put them on it. We don't include it. Man, we were
right.
We're disrespecting the segment we made just for them.
Right.
One of the problems I think was that I don't think any quarterback should be throwing 55 times.
Is that how many times Jared Goff did?
Yes, 34 for 55.
Yeah.
His completions were the same amount of times that Anthony Richardson threw for.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that. They really need to get that run game going, but
yeah, they do.
Man, Tampa Bay's got a really good run defense if they can stop Montgomery and Gibbs.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, granted, Gibbs did pretty all right, but we know he could do better.
Right. Man, who does Tampa Bay play next?
I know who they play next. You?
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Bono?
Bono. Well, actually, yeah, Bono. He's probably gonna run. He's gonna throw for 50. He's gonna throw for 50, and probably with the way our running game is gonna run for 50 and make the most rushing yards again in our game.
All Broncos running backs in fantasy. Do not play Broncos running backs in fantasy. I'm sorry if you're in a league where you're stuck with Broncos running backs.
Right, I dropped mine. Pick somebody else up.
Yeah.
Even a backup might have better luck. No offense to Javonte Williams, but
Carson Steele should be out there if Pacheco got hurt.
Well, he's a fullback, but I don't know. We'll yeah.
Well, this is not our fantasy column.
Right. Well, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Broncos do with running back, but especially against the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
But with the Buccaneers beating Lions and even the Saints beating the Cowboys, still not the most surprising thing. The most surprising thing, or at least not score-wise, but the most surprising win of the day was the Raiders beat the Ravens in Baltimore.
I know, right? The Ravens just aren't the same. They got rid of offensive line pieces that are significantly helpful, that significantly made a difference, and they're just having troubles without them.
Well, I think that's part of it, but let's be real. I think it's the same effect that the Eagles had last season, and it's just showing a lot sooner. Their offensive coordinator got a head coaching job, and it's not the same. And same thing with other line coaches and stuff. Like Anthony Weaver is now the defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
in Miami, and what was he before? Linebacker coach.
He was linebackers assistant head coach.
So if you don't have the same continuity, and yeah, if he was an assistant defensive head coach or something like that, or assistant defensive coach, to Mike McDonald, yeah, you're I mean, the Raiders got 26. That's I feel like that's kind of unreal.
Yeah, he was the assistant head coach and defensive line coach.
Oh, so assistant head coach. Wow, yeah. So that really is important. So if you're calling helping with the head coach and stuff like that, he's checking a lot of other boxes too, not just linebacking.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I was gonna say with honestly, I didn't really want the Raiders, but man, I was like, if the Raiders win, this is gonna be really shocking and surprising, because that's the Ravens at 0-2 after being in the AFC Championship game.
Well, their offense woke up today. The Raiders, their defense is still playing fantastically. Yeah. Their defense is everything people were expecting it to be with Crosby and Wilkins.
Brock Bowers getting nobody picking him up was probably the best thing for the Raiders. I actually think that they I kind of wish he went to the Jets, because
I don't.
I was just he's a Raider, and it's just I mean, we could have used him, but we needed we need a quarterback anyways. But he's playing great. It's just another weapon. You've got the run game, got Devontae Adams. If everybody's Gardner Minshew doesn't turn over the ball too much, and they could pick up some steam after where they left off. And it wasn't they lost horribly last week. They just decided to punt the ball in their own on the opposing side of the field, and that was a mistake last week.
Man, and Gardner Minshew only missed 8 of his passes.
Any interceptions?
1. They got sacked 5 times, so they need to be a bit better, and their run game was non-existent. So, man, their passing attack with Devontae Adams with 110 yards and Brock Bowers with 98 yards.
Right, you can't stop both of them. I don't know what else to really say.
The Ravens, they need to fix their O-line, or they're in trouble. You got Derrick Henry. Well, Derrick Henry, what's Derrick Henry doing for you?
Well, who's catching the ball besides like a tight end each week and Zay Flowers.
Right, I know. Pick a tight end.
Right. That being said, Cardinals Rams ended. That was like the biggest blowout, even bigger than the Saints one. 41-10. Cooper Kupp went down. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked legit. Kyler played great. I don't know what else to.
James Conner ran for over 120 yards.
Dang, that's great. Like they were firing on all cylinders. So like I know, sure Buda Baker and the defense played great too for getting only holding the Rams offense to 10. I mean that's still they still have Kieran Williams and they still had some wide receivers and stuff. So still next man up, like Sean McVay says, like they got to get the ball out to people.
Yeah, exactly. Buda Baker did wonders. Had the top like total tackles here. So
nice. So nothing else really to say there. Just great job, Cardinals. You could have been 2-0.
I don't know what the Cardinals are. They should definitely be 2-0, but they are insanely looking good.
Right, but that's like Josh Allen, like that's a good winning pedigree to be able to come back like that. So we'll see if the Cardinals can win next week. Who do they play again?
Detroit.
That's going to be a game. I remember you saying that. I know there were some quality matchups coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of good afternoon games next week.
Right. Last afternoon game was the Bengals at Chiefs. It sucks that they lost. The Bengals lost by 1. Evan McPherson missing an extra point. I didn't really see the play, but I know like people were not happy with the refs again giving the Chiefs I guess it was a 4th down and like 6 or 16 penalty that would have turned the ball over. The Chiefs would have turned the ball over or something, but there was a penalty.
Yeah.
Did you see the play or not?
No.
It was just one of those ones like I was finishing up with the Broncos game and then because they were both in like the last 2 minutes of play. So I mean Patrick Mahomes only threw for 150 yards, 52, something like that. It wasn't a great game from him. But again, it's team sport. They all play and win together, lose together. So Jamar Chase did some stupid with they got attacked on a 15-yard penalty on a 3rd and 7 that made it a 3rd and 22. I mean, got him the field goal range, but if they were running a 3rd and 7 and made a 1st down, you never know. They could have gotten an extra touchdown instead of settling for a field goal.
Right. And that extra would have changed the momentum and might have helped them win instead of
or at least forcing overtime.
Right.
Instead of losing by a point,
yeah, they could have you can't miss extra points. You can't do like anything wrong against the Chiefs.
Exactly,
and you still might lose because of the refs.
Right, from the looks of it, if I remember the play, it was like I don't know. He was the defender was like reaching up for the ball at the same time. I don't know. I need to go back and watch it, but from what was that stat you told me before we podcasted?
No, I'm trying to find it.
Was it like since 2018, like 17?
I just sent it. Patrick Mahomes just threw his 17th interception that was called back due to defensive penalty, most in the NFL since 2018.
Like that's crazy. Like since 2018, like, that was his first full season, right?
I believe so.
Because he was drafted in the 2017 draft. Because I think Tua was like the 2020 draft, and they won in the 2019 Super Bowl. I think it was something like that. Like 20. So like either way, even if it was like if that was his first year or something, first full season, like 17 games, and that's 7 years. Like that's still averaging 7. That's over 2 per season, where a flag saves them. If you ever wonder why teams are like other fan bases and stuff are annoyed, it's because of that stuff like that. But honestly, it's still early in the season. We'll see what happens. I mean, they say the team got the wide receivers got better, but like that's a good defensive play, for 151 yards for Patrick Mahomes. Like that was some good defense. So
yeah, they had defense and running. Like Pacheco had 90 yards before he went down. I don't know when he went down.
Right. See how
he had over 100. He had over 100 yards like scrimmage. So.
Well, he's an important piece. We'll see how that's really going to affect them if he's out for a long period of time. As far as anything else, because I think
No, I'm good. I'm good to talk. I'm good not to talk about it.
I was just gonna say with the Bengals, like if they can just win some games and get a rematch in the playoffs, I think it's gonna be a different game.
Yeah, I think we're back to. I didn't think we were back to. I thought because Joe Burrow had the entire like off season that we weren't going to get Reggie Jogus.
But Joe played fine this game.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a team game, so it's the rest of the game that has slow start affecting them. Reggie Bengus. That didn't really work.
No. Sounded like something completely different anyways. And with the Sunday night cap, the Texans won 19-13. It was a little closer at the end. I thought the Texans like dominated most of that game. It was definitely a defensive game. And the Texans coughed it up. It should have probably been at least another 3 points at minimum, but fumbles happen. And but yeah, it really was a defensive game. Like towards the end, like Caleb Williams threw 2 interceptions, and like that helped immensely. So again, rookies. We'll see how. Like I think they all should get a pass for this season. Like as long as they show some improvement throughout the season, like good for them. And going into next, like that's what's important.
Yep.
I think Cam Akers might be kind of one of the better off-season signings, or I don't know if he was there last year, but Cam Akers for the Texans.
Yeah, he's new this year. I think he was traded to the Vikings.
Right. So like, good for him. Like I feel like he's really helping them. Nico Collins showing that he's still the top guy there. So and Tank Dell looked good, and Stephon Diggs looked good, and Dalton Schultz looked good, and everybody like they just played a cohesive game, offense and defense.
Yeah, there's definitely more defensive.
Definitely a lot more defense. Like as much as I'm giving credit to the offense, they just were able to keep the ball out of the Bears' hands.
Yeah, they had more yards passing than running, but they definitely did what they could.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of it. I forgot to mention it during the Denver game, but for everything, that throw that Bo did when they did the reverse where they had like the whole Wildcat setup.
Yeah.
Or some Wildcat this week and stuff in different games. I forget the other Wildcat play, but like that was some good Wildcat where Bo got the ball and he just threw it down the field. If he didn't get that interception a couple plays later, would have been a whole different game. But that was probably one of the highlight plays in football this.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying to think if there were any other big plays, like especially from Sunday night. Sunday night was good, but it was just it felt like it was just.
I know Alvin Kamara had a lot of plays.
Yeah, he played great too.
He did.
That was But
when you score so much, you're going to have a lot of plays.
True.
I'm sure the Cardinals had them too.
Oh, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a lot too, though.
Yeah, it was like almost like every play was like a score for like the first 2 ones, like a score for him or something like it.
So. I think that's about it for the week, and now we can talk, for Sunday and Thursday. Now we can go talk about Monday Night Football. All right, so Monday Night Football was the Falcons and the Eagles. What a game! What a game! Well, at least more of a second half. The first half was very defensive, very slow.
I mean, with how the Falcons played last week, like I know, like the Steelers only beat them by field goals, so I was expecting like a defensive stuff like this.
That's true. I mean, it felt like both teams were just really shaking off. Well, the Falcons felt like they were shaking whatever last week was, and the Eagles jet lag. I don't really know, but they were doing really well. Like it was definitely a back and forth game, and then Saquon Barkley missed the catch at the end. Could have made the first down, ran out the clock a little bit more, and really sealed the win there, because I think they would have got a first down, if not a touchdown, if he caught that. So
right, yeah, there was a few mistakes made by the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're going to be missing AJ Brown for a few weeks, it seems,
and I don't that definitely might have helped give them a shot, but they just couldn't stop Kirk Cousins really at the end in the final few seconds, like the final minute of the game.
That 2-minute drive was amazing. I mean, they were just getting chunk yardage. Like the first one was I think of a 9-yard pass. They got a first down. Like it went. I forgot who caught it, but they made the first down, and then it was just and then one to Mooney, it's just chunk after chunk after chunk. It took about a minute.
Right, like that Vic Fangio's defense in under 2 minutes on a Monday Night Football game is not a good thing,
right?
because that's exactly how Mailman beat the Dolphins, beat Vic Fangio's defense last year, and messed up our season. I don't know if the Eagles will be messed up because it's so early, but probably not. But this is like Vic Fangio's defense. He's going to leave you open for big plays sometimes.
Well, and it's not all on the defense. Like let's get into it a little bit more. First, the Falcons really needed this game because they've got a brutal schedule coming up. I think they've got like and we know the Chiefs next week on Sunday Night Football. And then I think that they play I think they got the Saints and Tampa Bay coming up. Even just right now with the way that they're playing, like they look really tough. So and everybody's picking the Falcons because they got Kirk Cousins and a new head coach who was, I know he was younger at the time, but I know he went through the McVay, system for a while, but we'll see what we'll see what he's really worth, as far as being a head coach, because this is his second opportunity actually, and it's going to be a hard, and I know Kirk's coming off, and it's not going to be like a one and done unless they really mess up this year, but like we'll see what they got. But they needed this game because there's a possibility they lose the next, I forget, the third game that they play. Oh wait, no, it's Kansas City.
Yeah, it's Kansas City.
It's Kansas City, the Saints, and Tampa Bay. I don't know in what order between Tampa Bay and New Orleans, but they needed this one.
New Orleans is week 4 and Tampa Bay is week 5.
They could be, because they just
Tampa Bay is Thursday Night Football.
Oh, after coming off New Orleans,
yeah, this
could be 1-4. They absolutely needed this game just to even try and stay alive, because I think the NFC South is going to get is much tougher than they were the last few years.
3 of the teams in the NFC South are going to be much tougher, and then there's their outlier.
Then there's what?
3 of the teams in the NFC South, and the last one's the outlier.
We'll talk about them in a little bit, just to jump back to them. But honestly, it's not like the South was bad when we had like Drew Brees and Tom Brady, with the Bucks and the Saints. Like, did they not just win the Super Bowl like 2021?
Something.
2020? One of those seasons, I think. So it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, 4 seasons ago, something like that. Because and so like they were it was a dominant division, so it feels like they're just getting back to what that was. And the Bucks really never lost a step, even without Tom Brady. Like, there was more than that with more than Tom Brady. That team just needed a quarterback, and that's what they got. That team was dominant for a really long time. That being said, like Tom Brady was the final piece that brought him over the top. I think Baker can manage and maybe get them to another Super Bowl. We'll see. I'm not going to hold my breath on that, but there is a possibility. That being said, that was just what the Falcons needed, because they needed that game. The Eagles, not only like I said, it wasn't just their defense. Jalen Hurts, Saquon missed that ball on the last possession, on the second to last possession where they kicked the field goal. On the last possession, Jalen Hurts just felt like that whole Seattle game all over again, where because he got picked off again at the last last season, Seattle Seahawks versus Philadelphia Eagles.
That sounds about right.
Where he threw the ball. He thought he was looking for a pass interference, and it was there wasn't. And I think one of the defensive backs caught it. This time it was Jesse Bates the third.
I think this time, like Bill, we were watching the Manning cast, and Bill Belichick said like they have no pass rush. They finally had pass rush on the most important play of the game, and the pass rush. And Bill Belichick said, if you have no pass rush, you don't cause turnovers. They had pass rush. They rushed Jalen Hurts into throwing the ball too early, so he threw it into Jesse, and Jesse Bates was able to read him and catch the ball.
Right, like he like turned the corner, he saw it, and the worst thing was like because he rushed it. If he looked to the right, there were a couple other options and players open. Even on that side, there was another one lower that could have caught it. I don't know if it was Goddard or whatever, but there was somebody.
He probably he was probably looking for Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
And then the pass rush happened, so he just threw it that way. He did, and that's why it's called pass rush, to rush the passer into making. And he couldn't probably see the open men because he didn't have time to make more looks.
Well, and that is, but it's not like the first time with Jalen Hurts, and you gotta notice, why wouldn't they be double covering your top receiver out there?
I don't get that.
So like there, that cost them the game. They lost by a point. I still don't understand the Drake London penalty that for I don't know what celebration or what was wrong with that one. But that being said, he did
it in front of the ref.
Maybe he touched her. I don't know. Either way, I didn't understand. I thought it was a cannon. I don't know if it was because
I don't know. It looked kind of like a gun. So
maybe that was it.
Yeah.
And that could be, maybe there's something, like that might be something that they're not allowed, I don't know, but it's definitely something.
There's some fun celebrations. There's fun celebrations, and maybe that bad. Maybe that one's a bad one, and a lot of kids watch football, and we have a lot of problems. So I can see those type of celebrations be banned,
and being a penalty. I could understand that. So, but I, definitely, no for next time. That being said, good job, Falcons. They won 22-21?
Yeah, 22-21.
And that was after, I think they missed a 2-point conversion, because I think they missed a 2-point conversion because it was like 10-15 for a while there. So
yeah.
All right. So with that being said, last little bit of news we found out, because we record this a little, when we've got the extra time, and we were just in such a good mood. We recorded most of this Sunday night, so and wait for the Monday. Wait for Monday night, and Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers is benched. And honestly, after seeing some of the video and seeing how, I don't want to say uninterested, but maybe disheartened he was after throwing something, like he just didn't look like he was having fun and didn't want to play anymore. I don't know if he's got it. I don't know if it's. Carolina is a trash organization. Like it's probably my least favorite like it's probably, like, I've had ones where I just don't like because ownership was bad, Commanders and stuff, till Dan Snyder went away. Now I think the Panthers are probably like my lowest one because it's just trash. It's just Sam Darnold's doing fine. Baker won a division. He's doing better than he's won a playoff game for the Buccaneers. He's doing better than Deshaun Watson. And everybody was like, oh, his career's over because he couldn't pull it off with the Panthers. And then, like both Sam Darnold, fourth team for Sam Darnold and fourth team, and the Jets could also get looked at too.
There's no one possible that I think could win with the Panthers. I think they're going to have trouble finding anyone with the ability to do that. I think they would have wrecked CJ Stroud if they decided to pick CJ Stroud instead.
Right. Honestly, quarterbacks that might go there next year if they want to try and either revitalize their career or hope for the best are going to be Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, unless Justin Fields keeps this, the Steelers job, and they'll sign him. Like, that won't be a problem. But right now, anybody who doesn't have a contract going, that's that contracts are up, I'm just putting on this list. I don't know if Joe Flacco wants to play anymore. There's a chance, I guess, Kenny Pickett, Daniel Jones,
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan
Tannehill might even get picked up this season,
right?
If Andy Dalton doesn't do well.
Is there anybody else? I guess I wouldn't recommend Zach Wilson going there. I think I think he'll be happy staying the Broncos' third option than trying to revitalize his career in Carolina, because
like someone who wants a chance will go to Carolina and try to make it work. And maybe it's just Bryce Young is not working. Bryce Young is just not working in this environment,
right?
And maybe someone who thrives in chaos might be able to thrive in this environment.
I guess it would depend if Mac Jones feels like he could survive in that environment, and he might
I don't
want to
think
try that.
I don't think that I don't think so. I don't feel like Mac had problems with like
Right.
in this type of environment, but I think it's just there's a lot of chaos from top to bottom, and
Oh
I don't
yeah.
think
Well,
it's not the head coach's fault.
no, it's not Dave Canales, but
Mhm.
we'll see what they got, and they don't
Mhm.
have a lot of draft picks because they're still paying off the Bryce Young, the number one, the trade to number one, and
It was their worst. That was one of the worst mistakes they made. They should have not.
and they didn't. Yeah, that was a mistake. They didn't get much back. Like they had to trade DJ Moore. They've got rid of Christian McCaffrey. They got rid of Brian Burns. Like you think about like these pieces if you could have had them.
If they had those pieces with a quarterback not named Bryce Young, like I say Will Levis because Will Levis was would have been around then. If not, I forget who else was then, but still any quarterback, like even Andy Dalton, even if you had Andy Dalton with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, with Brian Burns on defense, you'd do better.
You would hope, but look at Sam and Baker right now, so it's hard to say what would have really happened with
Right,
all
like
the pieces.
I mean, look, Matt Rule's doing good in college, like, and Joe Brady's doing fantastic with the Bills. Like,
you really turned them around. Like you can see the it's there. Like there's definitive proof that like with Joe Brady.
So can any coach in any QB thrive in the Carolina Panthers environment?
I don't think Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, or Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning could do anything.
Well, if
with
if they couldn't win with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore,
well, Christian McCaffrey was hurt. Like like we can at least excuse that one, but the rest of the stuff that's an enigma, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Thielen's there. Like he's not a bad wide receiver. Like he was honestly for a while there a top 5 wide receiver in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Up until he was gone from the Vikings, and he's still the best option and probably the best player on that Carolina Panthers team. He deserves more. I hope they trade him, and I hope he goes to a contender or something to try and get a Super Bowl ring.
I mean, if you count like last year, like Adam Thielen, you think Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson would actually be like a good receiving threat duo together. Like, but it's, and you know what? Maybe if Andy Dalton can do something with them, they have something, but they don't I mean, Miles Sanders is not, and Chuba Hubbard are all right, but like maybe the O-line stinks too. But
there's a lot of O-lines that stink. So. But with that, we'll just add a couple extra notes. The Dolphins signed Tyler Huntley, right?
Yes, they signed Tyler Huntley to be the backup to Skylar Thompson for right now.
Off the practice squad of the Ravens, I feel like that was a good move.
Right, to get a young Pro Bowl quarterback.
Right. Debo's going to be out for a few weeks. I said AJ Brown's going to be out a few weeks.
Isaiah Pacheco's going to be out for a few weeks.
Like 4 to 6 weeks. Like I think he's going on the IR. Cooper Kupp's going on the IR.
Tua might go on the IR. I think they're still waiting on the results for that.
Right. Like there's a lot of injuries. Hope everybody gets well. A lot of those guys are just like, it's not the same without Puka Nacua. Like Debo.
What do the Rams have now?
I don't know. Maybe they'll trade for Adam Thielen. Like, but just I hope a lot of these players get better. John Franklin Meyer had a concussion. I hope he gets better. And with that, I think we'll leave it there. We're gonna try and get another podcast in here. Eventually, either this week or next week. We want to do a top 5 wide receiver duos, and see how you guys like that. Give us some feedback on that, and everything else. That's all I got. How about you?
I'm excited. I'm just excited for week 3 coming up to move beyond this, and I hope the players get better, and I hope the Panthers figure out what they need to do, even if it's somehow get the owner to sell the team.
That's a big ask, but
I mean, if they're not winning anything and not making money, he might,
and some players they might strike or something. Like I don't know what player union is, but if there's terrible conditions and there might be a loss of, I don't want to say the locker room to the head coach, but I could imagine the owner losing the locker room.
Well,
I don't know how you recover that.
Right, he is the general manager. It seems like too.
Is he?
I think he's like
I think he's like Jerry Jones, and I think that is also part of the problem.
That is, but we should research that, and we can talk about that on as a separate one. I also would like to do also another podcast I'd like to do is the state of the Broncos. Being a Broncos fan, get a little bit more into it because we're in a rebuild. But that's a podcast for another time. And if there's nothing else, I'll sign us off.
Yeah, that's about it. Just happy the Falcons won.
Right, happy the Falcons won. Week 3 looks exciting. A lot of matchups that we'll talk about. Maybe we'll do a preview if we get a chance. And thank you for joining me and Golden Girls fan 982. And we'll please like, share, subscribe, give us some feedback, and we'll see you here next time. Thank you for joining us. Bye.